Good morning. So last class we have seen about Asia, our place, our continent, and now we are going to see about our motherland, India, where this motherland is also a continent, a country of different cultures, different religions, different places. So let's travel and see the different physical features of the country. Now coming to location of India. India is a peninsula. Peninsula is something which is surrounded by three sides of water and one side of land. So India, if you see, we have one side Indian Ocean, that is on the southern side we are having the Indian Ocean. On its eastern side we have the Bay of Bengal, and on its western side we have the Arabian Sea. So these are the water boundaries of India. These are the water boundaries of India. So India is a peninsula. On the northern side we have totally land, that is this side we have Tibet, Nepal, Pakistan. So all these are lands, that is why India is a peninsula. India is in the southern part of Asia, and India in the olden days it used to have many trade relations with other countries like China. It used to have trade relations with China, Mesopotamia, that is today's Iraq. All these it used to have many trade relations, right? So India is such a centrally located country, what we can say. Now let's see the longitudinal and latitudinal extent of Asia. The longitudinal extent, that is the east-west extent of Asia, is 68 degrees 7 minutes east to 97 degrees 25 minutes east. So this east-west extent, approximately India will be here. India will be here. So 68 degrees 7 minutes to 97 degrees 25 minutes. This is the east-west extent. As you are going towards the east, the latitudinal extent increases. And 82.5 degree, this is the standard meridian of our country, from where we calculate the time. So 82.5 degree east meridian, which is the central meridian for in between these two places, this is taken as the central meridian, that is the standard meridian. The midpoint between these two places is taken as the standard meridian. So 82.5 degree east is the standard meridian of our country. Latitudinal extent is the north-south extent. North-south extent. So it extends from 8 degrees 4 minutes north to 37 degrees 6 minutes north. 8 degrees 4 minutes north means it will be very near to the equator. So the southernmost point is 8 degrees 4 minutes north, whereas the northernmost point is 37 degrees 6 minutes north. The southernmost point, which is very near to the equator, is 8 degrees 4 minutes north. As we are going away from the equator, then the latitudinal extent is increasing. So here the southernmost point is 8 degrees 4 minutes north, whereas the northern point, which is little away from the equator, is 37 degrees 6 minutes north. And in the middle we get through the Tropic of Cancer, we get through the Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.5 degree north latitude. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degree north latitude, and it almost divides the country into two equal parts. That is why the northern part of India is little cooler and the southern part of India is comparatively hot than the northern part. Here if you see, Kanyakumari is the last point in India. For the Indian land, Indira Point in Andaman and Nicobar Islands is the last point. Okay. And if you see the length of the coastline for India is 6,100 kilometers. The total length of the coastline is 6,100 kilometers. India. Coming to the neighboring countries of India, India shares its border with 9 countries. Pakistan, our very near neighbor, these are on the western side. Pakistan and Afghanistan to our northwest side. Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Tibet, China to our northeastern side, and Sri Lanka to our southern side. Apart from these, we have some other neighboring countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines. All these are our neighboring countries. Now coming to the political divisions of India, India is divided into 28 states and 8 union territories. 28 states, why it is divided is just for administrative purposes. These union territories, and they are under the direct supervision of the Republic of India, that means administration of India. Out of these 28 states, Rajasthan is the largest state and Goa is the smallest of all the states, right? And Leh Ladakh is one of the union territories which was formed very recently. India is divided into 6 major physical divisions. Physical divisions means like mountains, plains, plateaus, all these are physical divisions. Political divisions means for administrative purposes we have divided, right? But physical divisions means on the basis of the landform, that is a physical division. So on the basis of the landform we are dividing India into 6 major divisions. One is the northern mountains, northern plains, peninsular plateau on the southern side of India, coastal plain on the either sides, great Indian desert, and the islands. Like in Asia we have seen the island groups, like similarly here also in India we are having the islands, that is the Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, both we are having. So that come under the island groups. So let's see each physical division in detail. And now we are seeing the first physical division, the Great Mountain Wall of the North. The Great Mountain Wall of the North means the Great Himalayas. So these Great Himalayas extend from Kashmir in the west to Assam in the east. So they extend from Kashmir in the north to Assam in the east, such a big chain. And the length of this Great Mountain Wall is 2,500 kilometers and the width is 160 to 450 kilometers. Width means the east-west length. The width is 160 to 450 kilometers. And the length is 2,500 kilometers. And these are basically fold mountains. Fold mountains means they are formed very recently. They are formed in the recent past. See, when you have seen in the formation of landforms in class 7, during the formation of the earth, during the formation of different landforms, the folding and faulting of the earth gave rise to different landforms. So one of the landform is mountains, and because of the folding of the earth, these great mountains are formed, right? And these are young fold mountains. Young fold mountains means which are formed very recently and not less than 50 million years, right? So, and we have two very big ranges here. One is the Karakoram range and second one is the Himalayan range. So here in this Karakoram range, it extends from the Pamir Plateau. Last lesson we have seen the Pamir Knot. So from the Pamir Plateau, that is the southern part of the Pamir Knot is the Pamir Plateau. From the Pamir Plateau to left side the Indus river. From the Pamir Plateau to the Indus river is the Karakoram range. And in this Karakoram range, we have a very big mountain range, that is the K2. Here we are having two very big glaciers. One is the Baltoro and the Siachen glacier. This one is a very famous glacier, what we have heard, that is in between this Pakistan and India, the Siachen glacier. And the next one is the Himalayan range, a very big range, a very extended range which extends from the Indus river till the Brahmaputra river in the east. So this Himalayan range is divided into three ranges. One is the Himadri, Himachal and Shivalik. Himadri is the northernmost range of the Himalayan ranges and Shivalik is the southernmost range. So Himadri, it is above 6,000 meters above the mean sea level, and here in Himadri we have two major mountain ranges. One is the Mount Everest and second one is the Kanchenjunga. So here in the Himadri it is very cold, absolutely too cool, and here we do not have any kind of vegetation. That we'll know later. And Himachal, this is 4,000 meters above the mean sea level and it has an area of 80 meters. It extends up to 80 meters, and here we have places like Shimla. All hill stations will be there, right? So all these hill stations are present in this Himachal only. So Shimla, Darjeeling, Nainital, all these places, and Dharamshala, all these places are present in the Himachal. And next one is Shivalik. So Shivalik is a place which is only 1,000 meters above the mean sea level. But here in the Shivaliks, also known as the southernmost part of the Himalayas, and this Shivaliks, it is not very consolidated. All unconsolidated land is present in the Shivaliks. So here mostly you have the presence of earthquakes, right? The crust is very unstable, so here you have the presence of earthquakes more, right? And here in this Shivaliks we have very narrow valleys, and these narrow valleys are also known as dunes. These are the speciality of Shivaliks. Dehradun is one of the dunes which are present in Shivaliks. And next, coming to the northern plains. So these northern plains are drained by three main rivers. Coming from the left, that is Pakistan side, it is drained by Indus river. Next is Ganga river. Next is on the eastern side Brahmaputra river. So it is formed Indus, next is Ganga, and next is Brahmaputra. Three rivers form the northern plains. It is interplay or confluence. Because of the confluence of three rivers, the northern plains are formed. Since it is formed because of three main rivers, all the silt which is deposited by these rivers and their tributaries as well, these rivers and their tributaries as well, the very fertile soil gets deposited in the northern plains, and it makes the place very fertile. It makes the plain very fertile. That is why we find the northern plains as the most fertile place of the whole country. Alluvial soil is getting deposited over here. Alluvial soil is getting formed over here because of the deposition of the three main rivers. So it is the most fertile part. And if you see the altitude, since this is a lowland, the altitude of the place is less than 300 meter or less than 300 meter or less than that, than the mean sea level, right? And here in the northern plains we have a delta called the Sundarban Delta. Delta is a triangulated landform. Delta is a triangulated landform wherein one side is the land, one side is the sea, and one side is the river. So this Sundarban Delta is present in the northern plains, which is supposed to be the largest delta in the world, which is formed by the confluence of Ganga and Brahmaputra rivers, right? And next we come to the Peninsular Plateau, that is the southern part of India. So this is the Peninsular Plateau region, and this Peninsular Plateau is made up of very old crystalline rocks. Very old crystalline rocks. Even in the last, when we have seen Asia, we have seen that plateaus are made up of very old crystalline rocks. That is why plateaus are very rich in minerals. Here the Deccan Plateau of India is also very rich in minerals. It is a lava plateau. It is a lava plateau which is very rich in minerals, right? And which is very good in soil also. Black soil. It is made up, this minerals, they give up black soil, right? So this is divided into two plateaus. One is the Deccan Plateau and second one is the Malwa Plateau. Malwa Plateau is on the top, whereas Deccan Plateau is in the southern part. So Malwa Plateau, in the west of Malwa Plateau is the Aravalli range, and in the south of Malwa Plateau you have the Vindhya. So these Vindhyas are very old fold mountains. We have seen the Himalayas. Himalayas are young fold mountains, whereas these Vindhyas are old fold mountains. And these extend up to the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Chota Nagpur Plateau is in Odisha. So Malwa Plateau extends up to the Chota Nagpur Plateau, and here it is drained by four major rivers or four major tributaries as well. Chambal, Son, Sindh. These are major tributaries of river Ganga. Chambal, Son and Sindh, these are major tributaries of river Ganga, and Damodar, it flows in the West Bengal region, right? These are the four rivers which are flowing in the Malwa region, Malwa Plateau. And coming to the Deccan Plateau, Deccan Plateau is south of Malwa Plateau, you can see. So south part of the Vindhyas, the old fold mountains, is the Deccan Plateau. So here in the Deccan Plateau we have two different mountain ranges. One is the Eastern Ghats and second one is the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats is a very high range of mountains, lofty mountains, but the Eastern Ghats, they are not as lofty, that means not as high as the Western Ghats. They are little down, and moreover the Eastern Ghats is a broken range. Western Ghats is a continuous range, but the Eastern Ghats is a broken range, right? And here the highest peak in the Western Ghats is Anaimudi in Kerala, right? And this region also is drained by different rivers. So the different rivers are south of Aravalli. We can see some rivers like Narmada and Tapati, and on the eastern side we can see rivers like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. All these are flowing in the peninsular plateau region, I mean in the Deccan plateau region. Out of all the rivers, the Godavari is the largest river which is flowing in the Deccan plateau region. And now coming to the coastal plain. So these coastal plains are nothing but the margins or the coastal margins of India. These are again divided into the western margin and the eastern margin, right? So here in the western margin, this is again divided into the top margin, into the top, the above part and the below part. The first part, the above part, is known as the Konkan coast. So this margin extends, the western coast is very broad near Gujarat, and as it comes down it becomes narrower, and from Gujarat till Karnataka or from Maharashtra till Karnataka, this part is known as the Konkan coast, and below the Konkan coast, that is Kerala and all this part, is known as the Malabar coast, right? And on the eastern side, this is a broader coast compared to the western coastal area. The northernmost part, the northern part of the eastern coastal area is known as the Northern Circars, and the southern part, which is extending from Tamil Nadu, is known as the Coromandel coast, and it is till Kanyakumari. The eastern coast is from river Suvarnarekha till Kanyakumari, right? And coming to the western coast once again, it is little narrower as it comes down, and when we come down to the Malabar coast, we have lot of backwaters over here. Backwaters over here because the slope of the land is this way. I mean the slope of the land is towards the Bay of Bengal. So we have so many natural harbors over here. We have backwaters in Kerala. We have so many natural harbors, and moreover we have so many indentations. The indentations means you have dents like this. So that is, indentation is more in the Malabar coast, right? And coming to the eastern coast, as said earlier, eastern coast is little broader compared to the western coast, and you have numerous rivers which are flowing over here. That is Godavari, we have seen Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, all these rivers, Mahanadi, all these rivers are flowing even in the coastal plain. All the rivers flow in the eastern coastal plain, and as the eastern coastal plain comes northwards, it slowly merges into the northern plains, right? And next, coming to the Great Indian Desert. So this Great Indian Desert is on the western part of India. So eastern part of Aravallis we have seen the Malwa Plateau. On the western part of Aravallis we are going to see this Great Indian Desert. So this Great Indian Desert, it extends up to Sindh in Pakistan. Not only in India, we have this Great Indian Desert even in the Pakistan. That is the Thar Desert. In India we call it the Great Indian Desert. In Pakistan it is known as the Thar Desert. And here we have very dry climate. We have very dry sandy soils, and even we are having only two big water bodies, that is River Luni and Lake Sambar. And now coming to the island groups, we have two major island groups. One is the Andaman and Nicobar island groups, which is in the Bay of Bengal, and next one is the Lakshadweep, which is in the Arabian Sea. Andaman and Nicobar is in the Bay of Bengal, and second one is in the Lakshadweep, which is in the Arabian Sea. So these are the two main islands which India is having. And here the last point, the last point which we are having is the Indira Point, which is present in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, right? And here we are having so many coral islands also. Coral islands. These are formed because the corals keep on clinging to the rocks and they dry up, they die after some time. So coral islands, they are there, and these are preserved by the government. These are taken care by the government. So coral islands are also there in these island groups, and we have lot of flora and fauna, right? If you go to Andaman and Nicobar, it's an equatorial region where you have numerous flora and lot of fauna also. Fauna in the sense animals. So this is about different physical features of India. Hope the lesson is understood. Thank you.